Penina yebiko, that you made me whole. And so say baby, and the so my baby, every minute was so my baby, every and say your money, yeah. So Monday, every minute was so Monday, every and say your money, yeah. Kopina Sachi, Kwame Natando, John Mensa Sabaya Kubutali, Bagan Takuache, JP Yankwa, Monina Ebio, LS Play, Akufu Ado, Obeche Bilamte, William Oforiata, Agrifabuzia, Kwame Nkrumah, SD Dombo, Kesti Hayford, Monina Ebio. So my baby, every minute was on my baby, every so my baby, every minute was on my baby, every so say baby, and the so my baby, every minute was so my baby, every and say your money, yeah. So Monday, every minute was so Monday, every
Hello.
and say your money, yeah.
We're at channel 22. Just saw any Nana Amponsa, aka Corona Doctor.
John Mensa.
Yes, it's on my be ya, Nijna, Minewo, Yisubai, Yabra, Yebo, Yapa. Maya Sabi, or my ye, Nano. You know, Musumani Wamuni, and their commitment to their nation.
As they don't go, guess they ain't fought one. So my baby, every minute that you made me whole, and so say baby, and the so my baby, every minute was so my baby.
Hello, warm welcome to this channel. My name is Evan Zoreku Amponsa. Aka Corona Doctor. You're welcome to the channel 22. Atie for me mama chain mama ha baby will be a Timmy Bia at the this channel. Channel yi anka yengwe is still under construction. Yeah, to near kakra to mfidie kakra said you have good production. Yes, you have said we are say air core and the Ghana my air corner. Say be air coswa ese itimi eba na yedi Ghana for ebedi nkomo ansana san yaman HM. Said ye enipa kubi and patakubi and faho and chechia and nane Ghana for adwene. Ain't seen for to so there be Amama nyina eko manim
John Mesa
Amama nyina eko manim Oman bi ani ho a won ko eko machi ba ne se na Ghana emri bia ne yeko ne yeko yachi yeko ne yeko yachi yeko ne yeko yachi. The world has become a global village. The world has been intertwined. You see what China affected global brain. You see what Krobi Musuna affected Kroma be the brain. And Tokosi or Krobi Swa a Kakrobi. Sabi woman Munyansa, one must see woman the woman assume at the air a common. On person much ye say, Omunimu dear Kosu, we are say, there be ye be tree. Sir Afina tune in to this channel. I'm a pamucho, me ma obia achi obia aha. Me name say Ghana there, and me say enyumre aswan sir. Na baby me name kasa free America memo Denver, Colorado. Ahana channel anaka akasa fidie niti ewo. We broadcasting live from Denver, Colorado. Na the entire channel ye be say ye be boa na ya on my Ghana year. The number 22 no, it means a lot. Into what would see me be and for the first time, this is our first broadcast. It's actually test transmission, so by share the course on what yes ye kabi. Because the main aim of this channel I say ye be boa ye dinukre ama ye ho ye dinukre ama ye mind. Na ya build your mind. Inti open channel yasia me pacho search what the number 22 is for. Search the meaning of the number 22. And internet ya tu kasafidie din say the channel 22. Our main aim is not to do what others have been doing. Not a typical way. The typical social media broadcasting. No. Ours is going to be much more topical, not typical. This channel is going to be more topical rather than the typical way of social media broadcast. There be. And yes, na channel yi ebe no. Ye be din komo. E de ye ho atototo amama bi so. Adwene oman Ghana ho. Ni aye oman Ghana yi. Na me hwɛ de ekoso wo man Ghana a ye woni pakuo bi asebe won say won de omasua de won nim de na wotie nsensem bi a wo mo ka emmo ama yem build oman democracy nkyese de atro democracy kyerɛ sɛ kyerɛ w'adwene ɛwɔ kwan so a yɛbɛboa de abuild ɔman. Nti wohwɛ advanced democracy like the United Kingdom, United States, and other European countries a obi a ɔkyerɛ n'adwene no matter the political affiliation no ɔkyerɛ n'adwene wɔ kwan a ɛnya trɔ nya daadaa na mmom ɛyɛ kwan a ɔno fin sɛ ɛbɛbuild ɔman no ɔmo kuro no. Nti ɛba ne sɛn ɛna afei Ghana atrɔ nko a na yɛdi propaganda. Na ne nyinaa mu no yɛ blame the Ghanaian media. Etia bibusa mo sɛ deɛ ɛkɔ so wɔ wiase amansan nyinaa no Ghana media nipa mo kyɛw ɔmo ni mu ana. Deɛ ɛkɔ so wɔ wiase amansan nyinaa so yi Ghana media ɔmpɛ sɛ ɔmo kyerɛ yɛn sɛ deɛ ɛkɔ so wɔ wiase no ɛnya effect biara wɔ Ghana so ana. Question a yibusa no Otimu say most of the media houses no asinkete said ye beye biara no esi etu Akufo-Addo aban. Papa o bonimu o esi eka na Ghana force se o madwene etu aban na aban bi ba. Nyesa na echichi kro. Die eko yie no na waka na nukuru. Die enko yie na waka na nukuru. I'm saying Nana must resign. I want this uncle, my person be so almost say. Into the past years, no more Ghana. Obian Kasa, your demonstration. You have the right to do demonstration all over the world. You demonstration. All over the world. Demonstration. Demonstration. Cost we are some saying I won't lie to you. UK, Turkey, France, US, everywhere, Obi are complaining. And what does it tell you? Say ya bina wo kromo no ne ye. Waye bibi. Enti na ma ho kyere aba na. Ana ho kyere na aba na wiasa mansa nyina na ho kyere na aba. Nti yebepe kwan a yebefa so adache se o how no bisi a enya too much effect ewo yeso ana but there be enkrofo pese omu yi ya adwene free so eka se eye omo di animu eneyi ana aye omo pese omo ya chinchina atwan yem build cruiser se obi nye bibi na de to no so a na yehu se ade a wo de to papa yesu yi enye no kra da obedi bone na nkasa no okakra obi antie. We don't build a nation like that. We don't build a society like that. Say Akufo-Addo must resign. Adenya petrol workers. Adenya standard of living ekosro enema boyede petrol boyede person me bisa omo kasa na say on mobile phone ni kuto omo no sebi omu tie foreign news ana the media houses in Ghana. I want to ask them. Say omu read the international news. Omu kind international news our platforms wana. All over the world. Everybody's complaining because of two things: the Russia-Ukraine war and the coronavirus. Baby, edi wiase akodo. Akame pese enimidifo a omo lawyer for omo tena radio so eni ade kasa no. Eso mo kyerɛ Ghana for the entire coronavirus baya etwemu ankasa Russia akoto ahye Ukraine for so. Ye tiwiase ye ready ya bekin kan say World War I aba World War II aba ne nyina betwam kɔ ne nyina nya effect nsunsuansoɔ ɛwɔ aman nyina so ɛso na war no ne yɛko baabi pɛna ne yɛko saa akɔ no ɛso wiase amansie nyinaa enya nsunsuansoɔ Osama ekoto bomb ɛbɔ World Trade Center sabi ne nsi Ghana as in terms of security affecti ewiase amansie nyinaa na fe ba ne se na yare kodi ewu aba Ghana fo bi ewu ayenimu se John coronavirus ne kuno other prominent people coronavirus kuno. So what are you telling me? Say coronavirus on any effect to economy biaso. Then you are a liar. You are a liar. Na yan kodi nkoti nsamo a omo ye demonstration no mo ka. Na ye bossa tape no wi a. Uni bibi. Ye be body esi wa America take ni ya check omo inflation rate ni ahwe. Say ade no a local anasa a global. Ne yahwe se de ekoso no a local anasa a global. When you are being nyadwina ene ye wankasa, you have the right to belong to any political party. But kanokre me nipa da sani hu de eko oje wasem tum no beto ama wa na obeto ama baby o peso otokwa a ono abe decide emfatro ne nada emfatro ene enada mama yenkoti ensema omoka.
Nana must go. That's the resolve of private legal practitioner Martin Kpebu as he announces all is set for a massive protest that Komipreko reloaded in the next 24 hours. The outspoken critic of President Akufo-Addo says the wanton corruption and mismanagement give a clear indication that Ghanaians can no longer wait until the end of his 4-year term. Lawyer Martin Kpebu says after tomorrow's protest, the president, together with his vice, ought to leave office in order to pave way for the constitutional provision for his replacement to be set in motion.
Reckless borrowing and other forms by President Akufo-Addo. It's never happened that you have a president in office and every time that the country borrows, the president's family becomes richer. How? Every time the country borrows, the president's family becomes richer. How? This can't continue. It's not, Ghana doesn't belong to President Akufo-Addo's family. We can't borrow all the time and have data bank becoming richer all the time. The country becomes poorer and data bank becomes richer. This, without more, is sufficient for President Akufo-Addo to resign. You see how the incentive to borrow, because his family will become richer, has led us to overborrow, and today our CD has totally collapsed. That now,
Sir, wahu atra udua. Safi mahu enkomona nisu. Mahu enkomona nisu. I say anytime a Ghana be borrow biano. Na President Akufo-Addo oni nebusia ayiye. How possible? How possible? Hwe atrone na ada say ya na emebi. Upon the President Akufo be nyina no. Sankrufuku ya edi atro ene na ada. Esesa Ghana fo adwen. So what I say? Atrone na ada ya na omoka ya say data bank. Time wana ono papa ya oka say ne party wo ho no. Na data bank ene Ghana ya juma. Data bank eye company. Data bank eye company. a omote ahwe company no aye adwuma wo Ghana ene Ghana government aye adwuma a document wa a ekire say Ghana besia bo a omabobọ nyina ebi wo ha data bank ho Togbe Afede ono so ni company SAS security or whatever they call it SAS SAS ono so Ghana kobo besia ono so ka transaction na ho Togbe Afede ni company SES or whatever they call it sa company no Ghana kobo besia ebi wo ha Kenoforiata ene Togbe Afede omo company no omo ka bom eboa because a financial institution ekoji besia ebre Ghana all over the world country bi any ho obo besia omo fa company I bear transaction advisors and ye expert on beboa ama Ghana ana krubi akobo besia all over the world banks bebreye ana enya kufuado aban baye ana data bank eboa Ghana ama Ghana akobo besia inti or how ye kumi efa data bank ho ben how ye kumi efa data bank ho ben na besia na Ghana kobo en me pa ye hu de ekoso Ghana na ye hu nwuma ye betime de yensa kire se ABCD ana ye disa besia na akwakoye ye hu ye me pa mo cho tamale na flyover abahoda eso ne ya flyover e tamale side chichiri kru side chichiri kru America ha ye we oma bobesia sin kru bi America de ka esin kru biara it was a crachi okasei okasa keke okasa out of hate okasa ama ban bi ba yamane position because ama okana yeah you have the right to do whatever you want to do ban koma odi how does besia ba yabo efa inflation economy na sabe besia ba besia the dollars never krum ha intika we still have dollars but we say wanka coronavirus ba ye or how ni amane Ghana fo kumu insuo ene lighter aban de cheye se Ghana fo ho behenha omo wanka teacher fo a etena fie for almost 6-8 months and so na yichi omoka sesika no krachi yankoye amfini papa botum PPEs sanitizers yedema schools doctors any state institutions se omonfansa coronavirus no krachi ya wakasai enye ne papa sika ane de yeye sebe enye ne papa anane mame anana busua koku ne kote ye besia boana ne de save Ghana fo unse wanka yade chire o mansa yade no kredie enso odi ogyina ho so oye lawyer o se yenyi Akufuado because Akufuado ko bob besia o man be ne aban be na aba anko bob besia President Kufuor efri ona Ghana eka yade wo wiase nyina from Nkrumah to Jerry Rawlings na a letter above 9 billion NDC befa abenwan from 2009 to 2016 na yeka is 120 billion plus from 9 billion to 120 billion percentage increase ASN and so we ojira also a lawyer mama inte de okabi
When you need $1, you need at least 14 Ghana cedis. When at the beginning of the year, $1 was just 6 cedis, 40 pesos. This has never happened. And so to that extent, based on Article 35 of our Constitution, which asks for probity, accountability, etc., which are also repeated in the preamble of the Constitution, citizens have a duty, as stated in Article 41, to ask the president to resign. And this is not the first time that a president of Ghana is going to resign. In natural fact, in the 60s, Lieutenant General Ankara resigned over a matter of 6,000 Ghana cedis that he's alleged to have used to bribe somebody organizing an opinion poll so that he can be declared as
or say enye first time obi a resigning na president bi oba Ghana General Ankara resigning on the basis of alleged 6,000 or the comma obi so enye opinion pool. Mumusa krachi ma say owo krum ha ana airbus scandal eba yana papa ya woka say owo krum ha ana airbus scandal na eba crowd any allegation no, it has been proven in court. Ama the perpetrators, all those involved, yasanshi company Airbus na etria billions of dollars as penalty. Yabo omampani bi din wum. Yabo omampani bi ene ni nwe din wum. Papa yi oso okwa magana watimi aka se special prosecutor enhwehwem na se woni pa kono so opa oman so abedi bi ma yam preventing no. And so here you are. Look at what he's saying. Oka cedi dollar ratio. Anka wokin na ka to amama ho. Sebia Cote d'Ivoire, Nigeria, Togo. Our currency has been stable. All over the world, currency be depreciating. All over the world, currency be depreciating against the dollar. Ye okrumha dollar almost 2 interest rate. All investment is coming back to America. Obi hasan sika edia be investment e America. Enyama edwa ye di wa mansan jasu nyina ye the dollar na eto. Dollar bonso ekoso enyama bo koso. Nti sade no ye $2 na beto abrochiri whether China, Turkey or whatever. Na de ko Ghana. It's still ko no akoye $6. You need more dollars to bring those things back in Ghana. We also a nyansafu, also a lawyer. Or you holo. Enya wo ho no odwene, enya wadwene say do gina hoi a omashe red beret, ejejina machino, omo kwama wo. No, they are not fighting for you. They are fighting for their tummy. They are not fighting for their country. Because here in some Okana, they have no knowledge about how a country is governed. They have no knowledge about what is going on in the world. And if they do, it means they are being disingenuous. They are lying to you. So what you say? Maybe bobo tape work. Amanso nyina or how near money or how any inflation koso or see inflation koso when timi an chere the entire inflation koso. The fact that say Bobisiana does not mean say inflation be koso. The fact that say Bobisiana does not mean say inflation be koso. Bibi anakoka bibi. When timi an chere say a policy be a adodanko Akufo-Addo ana MPP abide by anything number inflation akosro there be when timi an chere. When timi he was not able to say it because you cannot talk of economic situation in one country without relating it to other countries because there's no country independent. Even America krano omo free China, America omo free other part of the world. But because a industrialized nation intino and our currency ni use at the world trading, the economy is always stable. Whatever my what is happening in other economy.
High inflation, along with rising interest rates, are causing real financial hardship for many Canadians, especially people on low incomes. The head of the Bank of Canada plays a key role in managing both those things. And Tiff Macklem joins me now. He's in Halifax today. Mr. Macklem, the bank has faced criticism for increasing borrowing costs at a time when we know so many Canadians are already struggling to afford groceries and gas and other essentials. Today, you said more interest rate rises are coming. Can you say anything to reassure Canadians?
Well, Donna, you started by saying inflation is high. Inflation is too high, and Canadians can be reassured that we are acting with determination to bring inflation down. I get it that it is a bit counterintuitive. We're raising interest rates. That's raising the cost of borrowing for Canadians. But actually, that is what the economy needs, because by making borrowing more expensive, people are going to borrow less, spend less, and save more. And that's going to take some of the steam out of inflation and bring inflation down.
You know, last year you predicted rising inflation was transitory, that it would settle down again. This year, inflation reached a 40-year high earlier this year. What went wrong with the central bank's forecasts?
Well, thanks for reminding me, Donna. What went wrong? At the beginning, this inflation was very much caused by global supply problems. And usually those supply problems have a reasonably temporary effect on inflation. So we tend to look through them. Unfortunately, that turned out to be overly optimistic this time. As you'll remember well, in February, Russia invaded Ukraine. We saw a further increase in these global inflationary pressures, and inflation moved up another leg. The other thing that's happened, though, more recently is that increasingly inflation in Canada reflects what's happening in Canada. The economy is overheated, and we need to cool the economy, and that'll relieve In February, Russia invaded Ukraine. We saw a further increase in these global inflationary pressures, and inflation moved up another leg. The other thing that's happened, though, more recently is that increasingly inflation in Canada reflects what's happening in Canada. The economy is overheated, and we need
Inflation in Turkey jumped to a 24-year high 1 week after the central bank cut interest rates again. Inflation now stands at 83% according to the State Statistics Agency. However, an independent inflation research group claims that the actual rate stands at a whopping 186%. The central bank cut interest rates again. Inflation now stands at 83% according to the State Statistics Agency. However, an independent inflation research group claims that the actual rate stands at a whopping 186%. The Turkish government had said inflation would fall with its new economic model, which prioritizes low interest rates to boost production and growth. And how are people in Turkey coping? Take a look.
Prices are high. We're really struggling. We have 2 children who go to school. We are only earning minimum wage, and it's hard to make a living.
I'm 19 years old, and I'm not hopeful. I don't think the situation here in Turkey will improve. I don't see a future here. I actually want to go abroad. This is true for most of us.
I don't think inflation is around 80%. It's much higher. I don't know whether the official figures are true or not, but the inflation I feel is much more. That's why it's getting harder and harder to live.
All right, so a difficult situation there for people in Turkey. Ekrem Ekici is here, my colleague from DW Business. Ekrem, remind us, what is the cause for these galloping prices in Turkey?
Well, short answer is the cause is the economic policy of Erdogan government, which is based on cutting interest rates more and more to drive up production and growth, as we heard just earlier. And this is going on since at least a year now, because they started to cut interest rates back in September 2021 based on the new economic model that is aimed at driving the growth by cheap loans so that companies.
We begin with inflation and the rising costs of just about everything. This as we continue to pay for more food. gas and rent, more are looking to find second jobs or just other means to keep more money in pockets. Tonight, Eleni Dow talks with people in our community about what they're trying to do to make ends meet.
A trip to the grocery store hurts just a little more these days. Couple Marcus Yarbrough and Kalara Griffiths usually spend less than $100 for a week's worth of groceries. It now costs them about 50% more to make food at home.
Well, have you guys thought about getting a second job or trying to find another way to get income?
I have. I know that we work long hours and we try to figure out if we have any extra time to make more.
Kalara is one of many considering another job to help with high costs. According to a study by Qualtrics, a software technology company, of more than 1,000 full-time workers surveyed, 38% of people say they have looked for a second job, and another 14% plan to do so.
I'm headed back Wisconsin and that just because things are kind of cheaper out that way and that, but even out there, it almost seems like you have to have an extra income in that just to get by in that, and I just want to provide the best life I can for our kids in that.
As more people look for ways to make more money, an economics professor at ASU says it shouldn't be too hard to find one, especially as we head into the holiday season.
It does make sense to me that some folks who
Our global growth forecast for this year is unchanged at 3.2%, while our projection for 2023 is lowered to 2.7%, 0.2 percentage points lower than the July forecast. The 2023 slowdown will be broad-based, with countries accounting for a third of the global economy expected to contract this year or next. The three largest economies, the United States, China, and the euro area, will continue to stall. In short, the worst is yet to come, and for many people, 2023 will feel like a recession. In short, the worst is yet to come. Will continue to stall. In short, the worst is yet to come, and for many people, 2023 will feel like a recession. Global growth next year could slow down to below 2%, a historically low level. We've only had that 5 times since 1970. Slowdown is most pronounced in the euro area, where the energy crisis caused by the war will continue to take a heavy toll. reducing growth to 0.5% in 2023. Almost everywhere, rapidly rising prices, especially for food and energy, are causing serious hardships. Prices, especially for food and energy, are causing serious hardships for vulnerable households. Despite the slowdown, inflation pressures are proving broader and more persistent than anticipated. Global inflation is now expected to peak at 9.5% in the third quarter of 2022, before decelerating to 4.1% by 2024. Inflation is also broadening beyond food and energy. Global core inflation rose from an annualized monthly rate of 4.2% at the end of 2021 to 6.7% in July for the median country. Downside risks remain elevated, and policy trade-offs have become acutely challenging. Here are a few of the ones we highlight in our report. The risk of monetary, fiscal, or financial policy miscalibration has risen sharply at a time of high uncertainty and growing fragilities. Global financial conditions could deteriorate and the dollar strengthen further should turmoil in financial markets erupt. Inflation could yet again prove more persistent, especially if labor markets remain extremely tight. Finally, the war in Ukraine is still raging, and further escalation can exacerbate the energy crisis.
Yes, I've been number one advocate for Nanado to step aside because Nanado doesn't respect Ghanaians. Nanado thinks that he is doing Ghanaians a favor as a president, and Nanado doesn't respect the oath he formed on 7th January to do the good, everything possible to transform this country. In the midst of pandemic, Nanado exhibited a profligate lifestyle.
of the total number of cars on our streets. And if you have been traveling, which you know that if you are in UK or in US, the kind of cars we use in Ghana. You can't believe this is Ghana.
So you think Ghanaians are being hypocritical with paying the increment?
Yes, I think when it comes to fuel, Ghanaians are being hypocritical. Do you know how much, let's say, a small box of ice cream costs?
Let me ask you, Mr. Saga, beyond
50. Then when it comes to about 50 Ghana cedis or even more, that one they can pay. So how do you compare ice cream to fuel? Do you know how petrol is gotten?
Mr. Saga, beyond these explanations you're giving, is it the government is bankrupt of ideas, or it is just that Ghanaians must face the reality of paying the real price?
Well, I think the real price is the real price because governments from President Kufuor through Atta Mills up to John Mahama has been subsidizing for Ghanaians. But this we should not subsidize. Look, every day the price of cement increases, but Ghanaians go to buy cement.
Back in 2020, at the outbreak of the coronavirus pandemic, I started a regular conversation with you that came to be popularly known as fellow Ghanaians. It was a time of great fear of the unknown, and the entire world felt at risk. I came into your homes regularly to tell you what the experts were discovering about the virus and what we should do. Now that we have seen the worst of the COVID-19, I can tell you that there were moments during those times when I was distraught. There were moments when I was in despair about the apparent inadequacy of our health facilities. And there were moments when I wondered if the dire predictions made about dead bodies on our streets would truly happen. But I knew that I owed it to all of us that as your president, I had to hold my nerve, show leadership, and take us out of the crisis. With your help and support and the great mercies of the Almighty, we can say that we emerged from the ravages of the pandemic with one of the lowest mortality rates globally. In fact, Ghana's handling of the pandemic won universal acclaim. We could all see in real time the devastation that was being wreaked on economies during the pandemic. But I doubt that anyone imagined the extent of the damage. Our economy here in Ghana, like many, many others around the globe, was thrown into turmoil. When I said at the height of the COVID pandemic that we knew what to do to bring the economy back to life, but not how to bring people back to life, it was not said in jest. We had done it before, and we were on course to doing it again. Ghana's economy grew by a remarkable 5.4% in 2021, signifying a strong recovery from the 0.5% growth recorded the previous year in 2020 due to the COVID-19 pandemic. In fact, in the last quarter of 2021,